Hello, this is Abhishek Sengupta, and we are here with another episode of Knowledge Talks. Now, in this episode of Knowledge Talks, I'm having with me Wells. Wells is joining us from Texas, USA, and we have taken up a wonderful topic, self-development. Nowadays, self-development is a must thing for every kind of profession, whether you are doing business, you are a salaried person, or you are just doing anything in life. I'm just giving a little introduction of Wells. Wells Westmoreland is a motivational and self-help blogger based in Texas, USA. He likes and enjoys five things: reading, writing, business, electronic music, and coffee. He started writing contents and blogs because he has some amazing contents which could worthwhile for all of us, whether you are starting or developing a business, working on a writing project, looking for some motivation or inspiration, or looking for something new. He has a lot of concepts for you. His knowledge and insights on different topics are partially developed through the things he read, but most of the concept he knows has come, or rather obtained, from failures. He had started a business and only made $380 in first 5 months. He had been on and off with productive habits and on and off with time wasting habits. He had moments when he was bored or frustrated with his work and wondered if he should leave or carry on. Been there and overcoming that, he is on a different mission now. His goal is to assist others in avoiding those mistakes and mindsets. Now, he provides useful information and insight that can help one to succeed. If you are feeling down, then something he writes can brighten up your day and can give you a new outlook of life. Wells, welcome to our show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm going straight to the point. First
Awesome.
is self-development. First and foremost, I would like to understand, rather, we would like to understand what is self-development. We hear this term on and off. Some say it's a great, some say even this is not something worthwhile, some even undermine its importance. We would like to understand from you what is self-development in the most simple words. Over to you.
Well, I think it's a mindset, a personal mindset you can have, and it's kind of manifested through the things you do. So if you're trying to, improve yourself, then a self-development activity might be a daily habit that you have, maybe going on a run or reading a book for an hour. Really, self-development is just a process of gradually improving yourself, and it's basically a mindset that leads to actions to improve.
Well, it's rightly said that it's about the mindset, because improving the mindset that's what is the self-development. And nowadays self-development is a great subject. Now everyone is looking to develop themselves. It not only helps in their professional life, also in personal life, and even in finding out a different perspective of life. Now, if you could help me understand, self-development is quite important for a person. It can help someone to achieve new heights. Also, during pandemic situation, self-development is highly recommended to every one of us, because at times we suffer from depression. There are a lot of business related issues which has happened. A lot of people have lost their jobs. So, self-development can really act as a boon. Could you please highlight the importance of self-development? Over to you.
I think that self-development is a major factor in improving your personal life, your professional life, and also your creativity. And to start off with personal, I think if you're constantly improving, even if you're in a hard situation, you're able to look at yourself and say, I'm better now than I was yesterday. And that can be a really big mindset boost to a lot of people, okay? Because even if they're not in a good situation, they can know that they're getting better and that there's hope ahead. And also, in terms of the benefits that it gives you, not just your mindset, depending on what you do to self-develop, whether it be read or exercise, it can make you a more confident person. It can make you a better speaker. And those things go on to help in relationships and, in career prospects. And with that, I'll kind of go right into why it's so important in business and professionally. Um, in this case, self-development is more about constantly changing your mindset and being ready to evolve. Because in business, everything's always changing. What's popular is changing. The technology is always changing. Marketing is changing a lot as well. Figuring out where to market and how much, figuring out where your customers are. It's all changing, and in order to stay on top of it, you can't stay in the same place for too long. And so I think a big part of self-development would be, having the ability to change and move on to something new quickly. And that's why I think reading is so important as part of self-development, is because if you read, you get new ideas on how you can apply them to your business, for example, and you evolve and be able to keep up with competition instead of staying in the same place. Everything changes except for you, and then you're left behind. And so, and as far as creatively speaking, self-development it helps keep you creative, really. If you run out of ideas, you can always go read. You can always go for a walk. You can always do something to take your mind off of it and rejuvenate and find new ideas. Versus if you were to just kind of sit around all day trying to think up something, it's not going to come. You're going to have writer's block, or you can't think of what to draw next, or whatever you're doing, really. If you're able to constantly improve and change yourself, you're never going to run out of ideas, and you're never going to run out of things to channel into your work. So that's why I think self-development is crucial, both or personally, professionally, and creatively.
Wow, that's a great thing. That's really, you said it. You have actually pointed out certain ways of self-development, probably, taking a sabbatical, going a walk, and, reading and all these things for you. Okay? Now, this takes me to my next point. Now, the ways of self-development, the important part of this discussion, because there are many people who want to develop but don't know how. What are the ways of self-development? Of course, you have rightly explained the reading book is one option. Probably going out for a walk and taking a break is probably the second option. Could you help us understand in details what are the ways, how, if I would like to develop myself, what are the ways of developing? Probably with the in this digital world where a lot of digital contents are coming up, probably listening to podcasts, different motivational YouTube channels can also help us to develop. We would like to hear from you how we can develop, what are the ways of developing ourselves, the modes of self-development. Over to you, Wells.
Yeah, and so I think the biggest thing is looking at where you are right now and look at where you want to be, and identify everything that you're doing wrong at the moment and everything you should be doing, and then making a plan to stop the things you should not be doing that are not contributing to the situation, and then making a plan to start the things that would get you a little bit higher. And the reason why I think it's important to look at yourself and not look at anyone else is because, if you say a power lifter on YouTube, you don't want to start off powerlifting, right? You haven't gone to the gym ever. You don't want to start off, all the way up there. You want to start off with a little bit of something, just improve and compare to yourself. And so I think once you make a plan as to what you're going to be doing, identify your areas of weakness and improvement, and then identify some activities that actually help you in those areas, or identify activities that need to be taken away. That way, you're not doing the things that are actually breaking you down. And then once you have all your ideas, make a plan to practice them. Say, am I struggling creatively? Maybe I should make a plan to read every day for 1 hour, right? And make a little chart and make a plan and stick to it. Or, if you haven't been going to the gym lately and you want to get into shape, you could say, I'm going to go to the gym every day for 1 hour, and you make a plan and you stick to it. And so really self-development, in order to get started with it, it's really identifying where you need to improve, where you need to, cut out things that are not contributing to your situation, and then be specific about it. Say, in order to improve in this area, I'm going to do this thing for this many days, this often, or in order to slow down things that are not good for me, I'm going to stop doing this, and I'm going to stop doing it every day, or whatever. And so really, it's just it's kind of performing a self-assessment and then acting off of that.
Well, that's a great concept. It's an amazing concept you have said. But I remember you just highlighted something. You should make a plan, right? Now, this actually takes me to my the next point. How should one plan for self-development? As you have said, you said you can plan for reading for half an hour for every day, going to gym for an hour, probably like that. So is it important for a person to plan up the self-development schedule? Because we plan our work schedule. In the morning we have to do this, we have to reply our emails, we have to get in touch with our clients, etc., etc. So like that, it is always recommended, why don't you make a similar plan for self-development? Any kind of plan, any kind of module, or any kind of details about the plans would you like to take, which will help us to understand how should one plan for the self-development, probably a sample plan which a person can go for. Over to you, Wells.
Yeah, and so first I'll go into kind of the concept of planning, and then I'll kind of go into how to actually go about doing it. First off, I think planning in self-development, there's a couple things you need to remember. First off, always, like you said, always make sure you plan for it, just like you would plan for work. That way it holds the same importance to you, and that way you're able to do both things with equal intention. You're performing them and acting like they're both as important, because really it is as important as your work or anything else. And also, I think you have to recognize that you yourself are a person that you have to negotiate with. Don't dive in head first. Look at yourself and say, this is me. Tomorrow I'll be 1% better. You know what I'm saying? Don't compare someone else to yourself. Compare future yourself to right now. You know what I'm saying? So negotiate with yourself and say, how much can I do per day, or how much can I do per week, or whatever it is you're trying to do, and say, how do I want to go about this? You know what I mean? Don't do it out of a sense of obligation when you're planning. Make your plan uniquely tailored. That way it's you yourself improving. And as far as how to actually make the plan, I'd say just make a chart, or have an accountability partner. And if you're gonna make a chart, make sure that you write it down, that you don't type it on a computer, because if you associate the physical action of checking off, a chart with actually completing your daily activity, it makes it hold a bigger importance in your mind than if you were to just type a letter on a computer, and because you'll forget about it easier. It won't be as forefront in your life. It'll be kind of a side thing, even though self-development should be one of your main focuses. And so really, planning for self-development, be reasonable with yourself. Make a plan that you can achieve. It's okay to push yourself, of course. You want to step out of your comfort zone when you're self-developing, but you don't want to become unreasonable, because if you then make an unreasonable plan, you won't stick to it, and then you'll become discouraged, and you'll think that, oh, well, this is impossible. I can't do this. And so I think really, when planning, just be reasonable, and then make a specific plan. Make sure it's very specific. That way you can't, convince yourself that you did it that day, even though you didn't. For example, imagine if you are reading and you just wrote down read. Well, you could read one sentence, and there you go. That's your day of self-development. You don't want that. You want to say read for so many minutes or so many pages. You want to be very specific. That way you make sure that you're actually making progress along the way. And so really, yeah, if your plan is for self-development as a comparison to yourself, and kind of negotiate with yourself, I guess, and make a plan and stick to it. That's really what I'd say for planning.
Well, that's a great concept again we got from you. And the best thing which I like from whatever you said is that you don't compare yourself with others. Make a plan which you can keep. Because most of the thing I have seen, everyone makes a New Year resolution, and every resolution is broken, almost every day. Because we take up those resolutions and we make up the plans which we cannot keep. We have made this probably seeing someone else. We have made this what our friends doing, and just we copy pasted it, which is not a very, very good option. It's always like, if my self-development plan has been what I am looking for, how I should improve, and my plan has to be specific to me. I think it's a very good concept you have said. This is one of the finest concept, one of the best concept which we got, using which we can keep our resolution. We can go ahead with the plan, not to, we make it and we forget it, and we find ourselves, oh, it's not our cup of tea, it's not possible, and we fall back to the same category of life.
And with the resolutions, I see a lot of people, they're kind of dreaming a little bit, because they don't view it as a gradual progress every day. They're only viewing the end goal, and they almost never make a plan on how to achieve it. They say, in the new year, I want to do this and this, but they don't say, in the new year, every day I'm going to make this small improvement. And like you said, a lot of times they'll just copy paste what other people are doing. And that's not a good way to go, because you have to make your plan personal. That way, you can achieve it. And you know that whenever you are achieving it, that it'll make you feel fulfilled. And that's the most important thing. So I like that.
Well, absolutely right. I 100% agree with you. And I'm going to my next point, self-development and work life. Now, self-development contribute immensely in our work life. There are many benefits which one can visualize during work. It can be, increase in productivity, it could be reduction of stress, and there could be so many things like that. Now, could you please let us know more about this and how the self-development or self-improvement can help us to improve our work life and to make our work life better? Over to you.
All right. So I say the first thing that it helps with in work life would be it helps improve your self-esteem and your outlook on work. I think people who, they go to a desk every day for 8 hours and basically work is the only thing they're doing in life. I'm sorry, there's a dog barking. Work is the only thing they're doing in life. And it makes them feel kind of depressed, because it's like working for someone else is their only purpose on earth. There's no purpose of improving themselves and actually being somebody for themselves. They're just an employee, full time. And so I think the first thing is improving self-esteem, is knowing that you have something outside of work that you can be doing. It also definitely helps reduce stress, just because you know that if you were to, one day you get fired, you have something going for yourself. Maybe you're developing a side hustle or a skill or something that you can turn into a source of income if your job just suddenly goes away. You don't ever want to become dependent on other people solely. I mean, it's fine to be partially dependent on other people, but you always want to have something that you yourself can do, independent of what's happening, really. And you also touched on, how it can help with productivity, and I think it definitely can, because if you get home from work, you have a few hours left. If you're working on yourself, it gives you a certain sort of satisfaction. That next day you're not going to be daydreaming at work thinking, I should be doing this, I don't want to be here right now. You can you can focus on your work and get to it and know that, I'm doing fine. Maybe it's not exactly where I want to be, but I'm getting to where I want to be in my personal life, in my after work hours. And so I think it definitely helps with productivity. And also, some self-development things are kind of relaxing, like reading or taking a walk, taking a sabbatical, like you said. And I think taking breaks is definitely important in work, because you don't want to become burned out. And I think if you were to, work for 8 hours and then take a few quality hours and go work on yourself, whenever you go back to work the next day, you'll feel refreshed and you'll feel ready to do the work. You won't feel tired out and stressed and just, ready to quit the entire thing. And so I think it helps in productivity in multiple ways.
Well, that's great. That's great. And you have rightly pointed out that, self-development also helps, us to, know ourselves, and also to develop a side hustle in case our main job or the main profession gets affected because of any reason or that. You always have a side hustle or a new skill to fall upon. It all developed because of the self-development modules which one have, got. And second thing, what you have rightly mentioned, that it reduces the stress a lot. Reason being, after a long day's work, everyone is stressed. Now, this self-development modules at times helps to get rid of the stress, so that one person can get, can become fresh once again, get rejuvenate once again, and get back to the next day's work absolutely fresh. I think it's a win-win situation for everyone. Definitely. Now, it takes me to my next point, is how self-development affects personal life. Now, self-development may not, effects of this may not be restricted to the professional life only, but it has got a very much, lot of good effects in our personal lives also. In personal life, people face a lot of challenge, probably, the health-related challenge, they face a relationship-related challenge, and so on. Now, these all challenges can be better dealt with, better tackled with the help of the right self-development plan. We would like to hear more about this from you, Wells. Over to you.
I say I kind of categorize it into two different things. First off, self-development helps you when you're not with people, and it also helps you when you're with people. And first off, I'll go into with people just because, say you're in a marriage and you're not doing anything, you're basically kind of you're remaining stagnant. You know, if both people are doing that, there won't be really any attraction there. There won't be really interesting people anymore. They'll just be kind of the same thing every day. And so I think probably relationships get very boring if both people aren't both trying to work on something new and do something better. Because self-development isn't necessarily, you know, going to the gym or even, you know, practicing a generally good skill consistently. It's really just changing yourself and trying new things. So I think, you know, whenever you stop trying new things in a relationship, it becomes just kind of disenchanting. So that's the first way, is in like, you know, a romantic relationship. But also, I think it helps friendships a lot because um, you can tell your friends, instead of doing activities like, you know, going to the bar or, you know, going out to eat, just doing things like that for fun, you can start doing activities like going to the gym together, or, you know, going to a book club or something that, you know, it strengthens you together through more than just, you know, having fun and kicking it whenever you're not at work. You know, you can say, over here we're on a mission to improve our lives. You know, so I think it helps improve the scope of your friendships. It makes your friendships more of a thing where it's positivity all around and friends are building up each other, instead of just doing things that are kind of soul sucking, like, you know, wasting time together. And so I think it improves your outlook on friendships. I think it makes friends stronger, and you can kind of figure out who's a real friend. Do they want to come help you improve, or are they just hanging out with you because they're bored and they want to go do something when they're not at work? And of course, in relationships it helps, and so that's kind of the with people side of why self-development is so important and how it relates to relationships. But also, it helps a lot whenever we're not with people, because a lot of times, you know, people come into our lives and they're very important to us, and when they're no longer there, we feel like we're less without them. You know, it's kind of saddening. It kind of breaks down part of us. But I think if you're working on yourself, you can feel more fortitude in yourself. You can feel like, you know, you are something that even without that person. Like I know a lot of times this happens in divorces and breakups, is that after a breakup, you know, one person may be feeling really down. They maybe feel like less of a person without their partner right there. But if they've been working on self-development, they can say, you know what, that didn't work out, but I'm still doing this, I'm still doing that, I'm still good, I'm still alive and kicking, you know? So I think it definitely helps us both when we're with people, and whenever we may be feeling lonely, or whenever someone leaves us, and or someone dies. It really just it enforces our confidence and our belief in ourselves, and that's really important because people come and go. So I definitely think it helps our personal life a lot.
Great concept, amazing lessons which we got from you, Wells. And you know, you have rightly said, you know, we have to choose between the activities. Either you go to a bar and you know, keep partying and everything, or couple should go to a gym and do workout together. And you know, doing workout together, spending the time and doing some self development activities together, it improves the bonding, as you said, improves friendship, it improves bonding, the relationship bonding and everything. So you know, second thing which I know is which I feel, if you're having a healthy personal life, that also contributes to a healthy professional life. You know, if one part of the life is disturbed, other part of the life is bound to get affected. So if both the parts of the lives are good, they are running great, and they are reaching their goals, they are getting their goals, achieving their goals, so definitely, you know, it imparts an overall positive experience in overall life. So it's a very good concept which we got. And it takes me to my next point: self-development and entrepreneurship. Now, business or entrepreneurship is a very, very challenging task nowadays. There are many ups, there are many downs. You and I know it better. It has got a lot of challenges as well. Now, how self-development can help in entrepreneurship. Now, at times, what happens, we have seen, people break down once they, face failure. They at times leave it and they get into some negative traits like drinking, like drug addiction, etc., etc. Now, instead of getting into the negative trend, if the person gets, into the module of self-development, he or she could face these challenges in a better way. Well, over to you. How would you see this, and what are your opinions on this?
I definitely think it can help in a major way, and actually in many different ways. Of course, it actually helps us in the pure business side of things, which is that, as I mentioned earlier, business is changing, what people like is changing, where they see advertisements is always changing. Product development, marketing, competition, everything's always changing. And so if you can, if you're practicing self-development and you're always getting new ideas and trying new things, you're more likely to be able to, innovate your product or innovate your processes. That way your business can keep up. So first off, I think it definitely helps on the business side of entrepreneurship. But also, as you mentioned, a lot of times people, after they face failure, they break down, or they give up. And so, I think self-development can definitely take a big part in preventing that, because if you read a lot, you'll have a lot more ideas and insights on how to deal with different issues. You're less likely to see something and be like, well, this is impossible. I have no idea how to solve this problem. And, if you have a strong body for going to the gym, if you're tired one day, you may feel like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna stop right here. I don't feel like going any further. You can say, you know what, this morning I pushed through on my workout, so I'm gonna push through on this business. Because really, the way that you treat your self-development activities, such as going to the gym or reading or completing some kind of goal, it really reflects how you treat everything in your life, which is, whether it be a business or a relationship. And so in this case, it's a business, being able to persist and push through even when things get challenging. I think definitely self-development, it helps your mindset as well as just your knowledge of business and, being able to change as business changes. And so, yeah, I'd say self-development is definitely a big part in entrepreneurship. And you can see this with a lot of famous CEOs and founders. They practice, they go on walks, they do meditation, they go to the gym. They're always doing things to make sure that they keep themselves grounded. That way they can turn around and keep their business grounded.
That's great. That's really say. You have rightly pointed out that carrying on with the self-development module can really help you face the challenges in a better way, rather than instead of going to the negative traits. I think that's a wonderful the message which you have imparted. Now, Wills, this has brought us to the end of the session almost. And Wills, would you like to say any closing remarks?
Let me think here for a second. I would say to whoever is watching or listening to this podcast, just keep in mind how long things sometimes take. I mean, for example, a lot of people go to college for 4 years and they never give up, right? It's 4 years, sometimes 8 years of education. Well, if you're trying to, if your dream is to, I don't know, get a 6-pack of abs, go get in the gym, get really ripped, then don't give up after a few months. If your dream is to start a very profitable business, don't give up after a few months. A lot of people have reinvented themselves at, 40, 50, 60. That's when they started their big business, and that's when they, pushed through and finally made it. And so I say, keep in mind that good things take a long time. It's all about the long game. Be patient and don't give up, and you'll get there.
That's great. You have rightly pointed out that you should not give up your dreams. Good things take time, and might be few months of hard work. People start giving up. People get frustrated, but one should not do that. Person should stick to his or her plan. Should go on to achieve the goal, and I'm sure that things will turn better with the passage of time. Definitely. It was a nice session with you, Wells. Thank you so much for taking out your time and connecting to us. And if one of you would like to connect with Wells, I will give the link using which you can connect with him. And any self-development related topics or any kind, if you are facing any negative, phases in life, you can always connect with Wells. using his guidance, you can very well do better in that phase, can come out of that phase, and I'm sure you will do good in his life. Thank you so much, Well. Thank you so much.
Yes,
It was a nice
thank you for having me.
session.
I enjoyed it.
Stay tuned, stay connected. I'll be back with many such episodes. Thank you. Thank you so much.